My name is Emily Chabrier, and this is my video audition for the educator position at Hair Cuttery. This is Rebecca McDaniel, and today I will be demonstrating the inverted bob on her. After Rebecca has been washed, we're going to begin the haircut now. The sectioning and parting off in this haircut is very important, so you have to make sure you establish the part in which your client uses on a daily basis. If they switch up their part, it's very important for the part to be more in the middle of the client's head so that when they use the different parts, you won't have uneven lengths. Okay, so I've gotten the nape sectioned off, and I'm going to begin cutting the nape section. This establishes your stationary guide for the haircut. So we're cutting down in an angle as extreme as the client has specified that they like for their haircut. Sometimes you can go more extreme. That would be leaving this a lot longer than just slightly graduated. Okay, it's very important to lay the hair against the neck and go in detail the nape section, because the crisper, cleaner line is better for this haircut. Okay, so now that we have established the nape guideline, we are going to establish the guideline for the layers, which is also a stationary guideline. We're taking the middle sectioning, and this is the guide that you're going to bring all the hair for the layers to. You know, about 1 inch, 2 inches width for your subsection. As much or as little as you're comfortable with cutting is good. Just straight up in the 45-degree layer. Taking off this top little corner is important because that prevents the hump from right there. See how the hair just lays nice and rounded under. Taking another inch section from off the side and bringing it to that middle stationary guide and cutting straight up. Making sure your cutting line stays very consistent. You see your guide. Okay, the outside, bringing it over to the middle guideline, combing straight up. Sometimes it helps for the outside corners, especially if they have a little bit more graduation in their nape guideline, to help to bring it out a little bit more, not completely over to the center, and cut that corner off right there. That helps this haircut from turning out sooner. Sometimes this haircut can flip out when it gets too long. Going on up to the other side. Up. As you can see, as we're cutting the layers in, you can start to see the cut marks from where her highlights are. So at the end, you know, we'll go back after we've blow dried and styled her hair out and texturize those ends to make them less visible, and you obviously don't want to have lines, you know, highlight lines in your design for your haircut. So that's an important step to this haircut. extra corner off to the side over here. We're taking off. Okay, now we're going to begin with the sides. This is where the part, your client's part that they use on a daily basis is going to come into play. Right now I'm doing the length guide. It's your stationary guide for the sides. And this can be as extreme or as, subtle as your client wants. Okay, now for the layers, you take the top section of the hair, and you're going to establish your stationary guide in the top for the layers by combing this hair straight back to your layer guide in the back. And you're over directing the hair out straight back over the head, and you can see make sure you can see your guide. Okay, and you want to take about halfway over the ear back, and you're combing this to the section that you took off when you were doing the very sides of the back. So you're combing that back to the back guide. It's very important. Your tension is always the same, your cutting line is always consistent, and you'll be able to see your guide if you keep holding it straight back from the head. And we're combing this straight back, just like we combed the top. And for the bottom layer of this haircut, you want to over direct the hair back behind the ear in the side sections. It's very important that the hair is directed behind the ear so that the hair in the front of the haircut does not get a chunk taken out of it. So over direction in this part is very important. Back behind the ear, and you have your guide right here at the bottom. You want to take off that extra corner. That really texturizes the ends of the sides and helps them to lay nice and rounded under. Okay, going to side 2. Sometimes I like to point cut the guide, especially if the client straightens their hair often or wears their hair very slick straight, because it just gives it the edges more textured. Okay, now we're going to comb back the top layer section. And this is important for the part to be in the right place, because if you have your part in the middle and the client styles their hair over here, well, when they style their hair over here, this hair is going to be uneven on the other side when they place it over there. So combing back and straight up. Okay, we're going to do half the ear back. Make sure you're grabbing your guide. Consistent tension. You've got your guide in the bottom and your guide up in the top. Okay, guide at the bottom and at the top. We're going to do the same thing, right, over directing it to behind the ear. And then we're going to cut off that corner. Now for checking this haircut, There are a few things that you have to do. Always check the neckline first, just to make sure that our initial guide was correct. So I asked the client to look down, just comb it and hold it, make sure that there's no longer hairs, longer strands, and that the arch is going to be consistent and nice and even, unless they're having an asymmetrical stacked bob done. There are no long hairs. I'm combing behind the ears. Sometimes hair can get tucked behind the ears and not be trimmed. So that's important to check. Okay, now to check the layering, you ask the client to lift their head back up, and you're just going to go right into the part and comb straight back. Like I said, this is a stationary guide back here, so this guide is always the same. We have a little bit of inconsistency. This is a big chunk, so if you are uncomfortable with that, take it into 2 sections. But it ultimately has to be done because the detail in this haircut is very important, and any corners or any edges in your cutting line is gonna make your layers not look perfect. Okay. So once we've done that, now we're going to come around and check the length in the front of the haircut. So put it back into the part. Comb it down, get the hair out from behind the ears. Okay. And you want to come around the front, check your length. And unless they have the asymmetrical, it needs to be nice and consistent in the front. The same. A little bit more length over here, so we're going to take that off. Make sure that cleans up nicely to the other side, and then you want to recheck, obviously. Okay, we're nice and consistent. Okay, so now we're going to have the camera turned off, and we're going to blow dry and style Rebecca's hair, and when we come back she'll have it styled, and I'll show you the last but not least, the very important detailing of this haircut. Now that the hair has been blow dry styled, we're going to go back through and detail it. And like I said before, it's a very important part of the haircut, especially if your client has had some highlighting. You can see the little highlight marks. So what this does is kind of just blend it in and blend the layers in and make it look not freshly cut in the blunt cutting lines. So basically we're going to take the hair out, and this is just at the ends of the hair with a thinning shear. And you're holding it out in the stationary guide for the layers. I'm just kind of going through the ends, and you're going to go through basically all of the ends of this haircut. Just kind of texturizing them a little bit. This helps the client with volume in their haircut and help blending in those highlight marks so they don't look spotty or stripy. The top one especially, sometimes there can be a heavier line at the top. Really texturize that. Spread that line out. And go a little deeper in with the thinning shears. But you really don't want to go in, more than an inch. Okay, off to the sides. Side section, over directing them back behind the ear. Back behind the ear. Okay. That's pretty much it for the texturizing. Sometimes if they have really thick hair, it helps to hold the top section up, with all of it from the front and really texturize that. Other than that, that should be sufficient as far as texture goes.